Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And you'd think at some point Hollywood would learn that remakes, unnecessary sequels, and things that people simply don't want are not going to do very well at the box office, especially when you have these overinflated budgets like we had with Gladiator 2, which, yes, boys and girls, I think we can firmly report on now. There's no doubt whatsoever this movie is going to lose money at the box office. It's already slowed down to its third week, and as we all know from the general progressions of movies, losing 50% or more of their box office weekend over weekend, if not worse. Generally, it's much worse. With a $350 million box office budget, Gladiator 2, starring the ever-lovable Pedro Pascal, who has become literally somebody way overused in Hollywood, which was probably another reason this movie flopped, is now going to be a disastrous dumpster fire, boys and girls, and there is no way you can deny it because 2 plus 2 still equals 4, and this movie is a flop. Because as you can see from our dear sweet friends over here at CosmicBook.News, Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2 headed for box office disaster, boys and girls, and this is not going well. From being the very first disastrous trailer that they put out, which whoever's grand scheme of idea to put hip-hop behind a movie set in Roman times, well, that exactly didn't give everybody the very first wonderful little warm fuzzy about a Gladiator 2 movie that every single fan out there of Gladiator 1 was sitting around scratching their head going, why are you doing this? Nobody asked for this? What are you going to do? Like raise homeboy back from the dead? Like it literally didn't make any sense. So needless to say, boys and girls, right from the very beginning, from the first trailers getting ratioed out there into oblivion and everybody's general wariness of anything with Pedro Pascal in it anymore at this point, this movie was destined to be a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office, and that's exactly what we've got to talk about right here. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Did you go see Gladiator 2? Did you give it a shot? What did you think of the movie? Do you think it's worth all of the hate and some of the critical reception, or do you think a lot of people out there knew what we were getting from the very beginning and they're just going to wait for streaming on this movie? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description down below. So from our dear sweet Matt McGloin over there at CosmicBook.News, the Gladiator 2 movie is shaping up to be another box office bomb. Following Ridley Scott's Napoleon, House of Gucci, and The Last Duel, Scott hasn't had a major hit in nearly a decade, with his last big success being 2015's The Martian. Did you guys see that? I didn't see that. It looked kind of funny, but it didn't really look like my thing. Gladiator 2 reportedly has a mammoth budget of $350 million, and just as I said, it looks to be getting buried by the storm of Thanksgiving and Christmas releases, which includes Wicked 2, Moana 2, and this week's release, Disney's Mufasa, The Lion King. Red One is only a very good Xmas movie. Yeah, Red One did disastrously bad at the box office. And what's really funny about this one, too, is even the box office bomb that was, of course, the movie that just came out over the weekend and has turned into nothing more than a disastrous dumpster fire, Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter, which had the best, had the worst showing of all the Sony movies, all the Sony Marvel movies out there in their entire little villain Spider-Verse that they've been trying to make successful and has just flopped over and over again. That did better than Gladiator. Now, given it's Gladiator's third weekend, but this is the worst performing Sony movie we've ever seen. Keep an eye out for that video later, boys and girls. But needless to say, if you read the trades or you follow the box office shill accounts on X, you'd think Gladiator 2 is a massive success. The post-Thanksgiving weekend box office has been strong for the industry, a period that's typically slow. Deadline even blames women for shopping for the drop. Oh, women wanted to go shopping on Black Friday? I know, wild concept. It's crazy. And here's the other thing, right? Because it used to be kind of one of those things, well, once you get burnt out doing your kind of Black Friday shopping, everybody go relax and chill out and go do a movie. But now because of all the online shopping being so prevalent and it's so easy to get stuff with next day shipping and everything else, or same day shipping in some cases, most people are just now doing all of their Black Friday shopping online, which unfortunately for all of those that love seeing all of the crazy fights and everything else that happened on Black Fridays and all the insanities, because some of us just can't help but look at car accidents, it's one of them situations where now you don't get any of that anymore. Why go out and fight with the crowds and fight with the lines when you can just stay at your house in your warm fuzzy slippers and your fun little coat out there, or in my case shorts and flip-flops because I live in the South, and just do all your Black Friday shopping? Why even bother? So of course they're not going to go out and see the movie either, which sometimes you would get a little bump over the Thanksgiving weekend. But according to industry insiders, Thanksgiving is normal. Well, Thanksgiving, even though the trade magazines, it's not just industry insiders, it's the trade magazines, Thanksgiving week is a historically low bad time anyway. So they're like, well, it had a strong showing. That's their nice way of saying it didn't do well. It's a strong showing for a Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And why? What do the numbers say about this? Well, we can go over to the Gladiator 2's numbers right here, because like I said, this movie has made a lot of money, almost $400 million worldwide, which of course you can always talk about. The split between the box office in the United States is normally 50-50, but when you go overseas, a lot of time those numbers can be very different, and it's never in the side favor of the studio. Let's just put it that way, boys and girls. So if this thing had a $350 million budget, which is what we've been reported by all the trade magazines and everything else, so we can basically take it as solid fact. It's probably much higher than that, because most of the time it is higher than what the trade magazines actually end up reporting, because as we've seen time and time again, if we ever get actual tax numbers like we have through all of the Disney movies and all that stuff that's been done over there in England, we find out these budgets are way higher than what the trade magazines. So probably this movie probably cost more like $400 million, but just for argument's sake, $350 million, right? $350 million times the standard 2.5 times, right? You're still talking at minimum $800 to $900 million at the box office. You go by Robert Meyer Burnett's 3 times the box office, $1 billion, over $1 billion is what this movie had to make at the box office to make a profit. And that's the problem with these movies. This is a sequel nobody is asking for in a time where the audience is completely and totally burnt out with sequels and redos and everything else. Nobody wants this nonsense. And we know what's happened with Hollywood and why they have no original ideas left, because of the kind of very inexperienced people that they have hired over the last few years. And guess what? This is what we're stuck with. Stupid remakes, stupid sequels that don't go very well over the box office, and certainly don't go over very well with the fans either. Because as you can see over here from Rotten Tomatoes itself, boys and girls, obviously the critics hated it. I don't know how they give a certified fresh rating to anything that's over 50%, because I'm sorry, I don't know about you boys and girls, but when I went to school, it was like, what, 90 to 100 was generally an A, sometimes 92 to an A, right? So if you did like the B pluses and stuff like that, you get a 65%. That's a D minus. That is like D middle at best. That is borderline an F, boys and girls. And this is what they consider certified fresh? No, that is pathetic by any nature of the magazine out there, of any of the kind of stuff, the ratings we have seen, especially from the shill magazines. No, this is bad. And if you go to the audience score, now you can go to the verified audience here, well, it's got an 82%. But if you go to the all audience score, it's a 75%. And generally, always, audiences are 99 out of 100 times way more gracious when a movie is actually bad. Okay, we're not talking about all the shill garbage out there, but when a movie is actually bad, the audiences are generally much nicer to it than the critics are, boys and girls. And that's how you know a 75% is abysmal, and the box office numbers prove it. So what else is there? You might have loved the movie, and that's okay. You might worship at the throne of Pedro Pascal. By the way, that's worshiping a five solid and goes against the 10 Commandments, but that's for Monday Bible study time. But literally, I don't care if you love Pedro Pascal. I don't care if you thought he was wonderful in the role. I don't care if you love the other guy that's in this movie as well. At the end of the day, this movie is a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office, and Hollywood has earned the ire of their audiences. Nobody trusts your sequels, nobody trusts your reboots, and nobody wants anything to do with this kind of garbage, especially with a movie that had such a solid ending that was beloved by so many. And this is where they find themselves at. The shill magazines will do everything they can to try to spin this as a success. So hopefully maybe they can fool a few investors out there to think that maybe it's not such a bad thing. Maybe they shouldn't invest. Maybe they shouldn't sell their stock because Hollywood keeps making all this kind of stuff. Or maybe it'll be something to that, well, look at all the trade magazines. They said it was fine. And it's like, well, yeah, if we actually open up your books and actually look at this, it's pretty obvious 2 + 2 = 4. And this movie lost money. But that's what they do. This is what the shills do. They try to prop up things. They try to keep them going forward, especially when it's one of their chosen ones like Pedro Pascal, because he has all of the right talking points. He says all of the right things, which of course generally get him the ire of his fans, which is why you've probably seen why he's been relatively silent as of late. But at the end of the day, Gladiator 2 was a bad idea with bad marketing right from the very beginning. The audiences don't like it, the critics don't like it, and the numbers pan out with a $350 million. If you would have made this movie for $100 million, it would have been a success. But with a $350 million, I'm sorry, Ridley Scott does not have the name draw that the people in Hollywood think with him, especially when it comes to the audience. And this movie is another absolute proof of that. Gladiator 2 has turned into a disastrous dumpster fire. It's Hollywood's fault. They did this to themselves, and now they've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Good job, Hollywood. After all, you did it to yourself. Thanks for watching.